then you might just have one roster. And so you might never have to navigate from one roster to another. However, if you're a middle school teacher and you teach 7 periods throughout the day, you're gonna have different classes that you need to navigate to. And I think the best way to do that is just type in your last name in the roster field, and I'll show you how it pulls different rosters, okay? So in terms of that roster field, which is this first box here, okay, you have to type at least 3 consecutive letters that are part of the name of the roster that you want to find, right? So if you were looking for Smith, you'd have to type at least S-M-I, okay? Now, there might be other names, like we have a Shelby Smiddle who works at EDSAC, so you'd see Smiddle, you'd see Smith, you'd see all of those. If you want to just go ahead and type all of Smith, you can do that, okay, and it'll just pull that. So, for example, I'm going to exit out of this, so if you want to clear out this roster field, you can click this X. Now, I have the ability to go in and type any name. So if I type in the word class, you'll notice, and I waited, right? So I typed at least 3 consecutive letters and I waited. Now what it's doing is it's pulling every roster that has those consecutive letters within that, okay? So again, if you want to be more specific and I want to show a kindergarten class, I can just type S-K-A and wait. And it's only going to show me class K-A because S is the last letter in class, and then K, and then A. Okay? Now again, for elementary, this may not be that important, but for secondary, when you are navigating, or as a school psychologist, or as an administrator, or anybody who has access to several classes, you're going to want to know how to do that. Okay? All right, so again, we're going to get into benchmarking in a moment, so I'm not going to worry about anything else here on benchmark comparison. You want to say? Go ahead.
So say we're looking for class KA, and Kyle typed that. You have to click on it to tell the system I want that file.
Yep.
So when he typed the SKA, it popped up with all his options, and then you have to click on that one you exactly want to be able to put it in the file.
Yeah, it's a great point. So I did just click on that. Now you'll see that that's just in that roster field. The other thing that you have to do, and I know that this is annoying, I don't quite understand it, is you have to click View Refresh. Now it's saying it's in progress, and now here's that roster. Okay, now again, much like the naming convention for the roster, the naming convention for the students is just like sample students, which again is kind of annoying. But again, when you're looking at your real class, it'll say Kim Hastings, Kyle Allen, Debbie Beekler, right? It'll have all the names of your kids. Okay, this is where, again, when we go in to launch a digital record form, we're gonna come right back here, okay? So don't worry too much about this. I know you probably have questions. We're gonna come back to that. Don't worry too much, okay? While I'm here though, I will show you. So we talked about how there's measures that are required to get the composite, and then there's some measures that are designed to be diagnostic, right? AimsWeb Plus helps you identify that by the color coding. So if you look at the top, there's gray assessments and there's teal assessments. The teal assessments are the assessments that are required to get the composite. So if you're like in the account and you're trying to remember what do I have to give, that helps you identify that, okay? So you can actually just go and say, I want to do letter naming fluency and launch that. Again, I'm going to walk you through that process here in just a little bit. All right, so there's a groups tab. So if you go here, what exists in the groups tab is a lot of reporting, okay? So once you've administered benchmarks to all of your groups, you can imagine this is where a lot of that data filters in. If you're somebody who's nerdy, like me, you will spend lots of time on the group page, okay? We're not gonna get into all of that because what we really want you to leave today is knowing how do I accomplish this benchmarking process, okay? Reporting kind of comes on the back end. Again, you'll have a lot of people in your building who have done this, who know how to do it, okay? Manage, I don't know that you'll have to go to a lot, but that's just another tab at the top. This is where you can get into creating custom groups. That's something that we'll probably get into another day. If there is a special ed teacher who wants to know how to do that, I can walk you through that before you leave today. But that's like an advanced course on AimsWeb Plus. So in an effort to not confuse you, we're not going to get into that right now. Now you'll notice there's some buttons up here and some options. So I just want to showcase what those are. So there's a bell. The bell is your notifications. So when you have something that you've not seen before, like when I logged in, there was some notifications from the account. I'm going to have those. You'll get those too. And what you'll notice is when you have a new notification that you haven't seen, there'll be an orange exclamation point right here. Okay? It's just kind of an alert to say, hey, we've got some information for you. Now, if you click it, if you had notifications, obviously in this training account I do not, you can see all of those. Okay? And even if you had a new one, when you click it, the orange exclamation point is going to go away, but you can always go back and find just different notifications that existed. It almost works like an email chain, if you will. Okay, you'll see your name here, so you'll know, okay, I'm logged into the correct account, this is me, okay. There is a wheel or cog, I think is the official term, but that's a weird word. So it's a wheel, is what I call it, and that's just your settings, okay. So the main thing I talk about here, because we use single sign-on, you're never really going to have to change your password. When you change your Google password, your AimsWeb Plus password is going to change as well. Okay, so don't feel like you really need to get in here and change passwords or do anything like that. But what is cool about this is if you have several rosters or roles available to you, you can see all of those here where the user roles are. So I have a lot of secondary people email me and say, I only have one class. And I always tell them, well, go to settings and look and see if you have more. And oftentimes they do. They just don't know exactly how to navigate to those several classes. And that's that, you know, exit out the roster field, type your last name, wait, and you'll find it, okay? So you can use that to see if you have more than one roster assigned to you. And then the last button up here is signing out, okay? I always just say, I think it's important to do that if you know you're leaving your class. There's sensitive data in here, okay? Data that shouldn't be shared with masses of people, okay? Especially like upper grades, right? You don't want every kid to see every kid's score. So I would recommend to you, if you know that you're leaving, you know, for a significant amount of time, log out. Don't leave that up where kids can go in there, print something off, do something crazy, whatever. Okay? I will tell you, it automatically logs you off if it's inactive for 15 minutes. 15 minutes to me is a long time. So again, if you know you're leaving, log out. You don't have to worry about that. Okay? All right, the only other thing I want to show you, I'm going to navigate back to the Students tab and Benchmark Comparison, is this Help tab. And I think AimsWeb Plus's Help section is very helpful. And I'll kind of show you why I think that. So if you ever get to a place in the account and you're like, I'm totally stuck, I've called Kyle, I've called Dr. Hastings, I've called my school psychologist, I don't know what to do. There's this button on the bottom right that's that teal greenish color that says, how can we help? Okay? And trust me, I know there's a lot of help sections that are useless. I feel like this one truly is helpful. I'm going to show you why I think that. So if you'll click there, you'll notice what it's going to do is it's just going to open a new tab in your browser, okay? Now, one of the very first things that I think is helpful is it knows where you're at in the account and it pulls information that is unique to that, right? So I just navigated back to benchmark comparison, and when I said I need help, it's pulling helpful information for benchmark screening. Okay, so let me show you. I'm going to exit out. Let's say we found our answer. But now we're going to progress monitoring, okay? And now I'm saying, okay, I need help again. So if I click how can we help, you'll notice now it's pulling automatically to start with information on progress monitoring, okay? Now let's just say that you were just on a page and that's not really what you needed help with. The really cool thing is there's a search bar, okay? So if you're like, I know Kyle said something about administration videos, but I have no idea where that is in this help tool. You can just type administration. I'm going to go ahead and type video too, and hopefully this will work. I don't know, but it should. And so we're typing that, and it literally works like Google, and it's going to pull anything that matches administration in video. And there we go. So there's a video library that literally will show you how to administer every single measure. Okay? It'll, like, there's a video that shows us a teacher and a student. It stops and says, this is what you can say, this is what you can't say, gives you all the rules, all those things. Okay? I would highly recommend that you go watch those videos. Okay, the other thing that I love about the AimsWeb Plus help tool is there's those buttons at the top that can kind of start you, and then you can work down, drill down to what exactly you think you might need. There's two things that I want to show you specifically. So I would write this down, or maybe put it in your phone, whatever you need to do to mentally remember, right? And what I'm going to show you is how to find those stimulus materials. Okay, so again, we are going to provide these for you. But again, if you're like me, and it's time to test all your kids, and you're scrambling going, oh no, I don't know where I put those. Okay? You can always go in here and print exactly what you need. Okay? So the first step is going to the How Can We Help, okay, which was that green button that I showed you. From there, you want to navigate over to Other Resources. Okay? And you'll notice when you hover over that, you're going to get all of these other resources. Okay? From there, you want to navigate down to Downloads. Okay, so Other Resources, Downloads, and then you're going to go over to Test Materials. Okay? Now, you'll notice that there's different testing materials for progress monitoring and or benchmarking. Okay, so in the case that you're benchmarking, obviously you're going to go to benchmark stimulus books. Okay, so we'll go there and we will click, and you'll notice it's going to take you to a page that's broken out, that's based on early literacy and reading, and then there's early numeracy. Okay, here's the trick question of the day. I want somebody to tell me why there is not math stimulus materials in here. Why would you never be able to find the math stimulus materials? This is a very tricky question, but if you've been paying attention, you might know. Okay, there's a hand up. You're way over there, so scream at me. You said you've already got them? Elaborate. What do you mean by that? Somebody help me. I can't hear. I'll come over there. Okay. Okay, that's a good answer, but not quite right. So she said that the district's already given you, and that's true. We have given you everything you need. But again, we talked about in the case that you've lost that. But this wouldn't matter if you lost it. There's a specific reason why. Yes. Okay. Bingo. Okay, she said they're in test math, right? So math starts at 2nd grade, goes all the way up through 8th. Okay? So the stimulus materials are housed in test math. You're never giving a student a sheet that they look at, that they read, right? Now, the only reason reading's on here is because oral reading fluency is a digital record form, which does require a stimulus, okay? But the reason math is not on here, very good job, is that's all housed in test math. So you'll never find a math stimulus material. I always use that as an example because I get emails all the time. They're like, I can't find the math materials. It's like, well, that's because it's in test math. So just a little fun there. Okay, so good answer. Okay, I think